one. My favourite story ever of two guests was some New Yorkers who came out here. I don't know why they came out here, but Dad didn't want to be here. Mum and son were absolutely terrified to the point of being catatonic just about. They're very sweet people, and there was a son, and I don't remember him saying one word in the 3 days that I looked after them. Not the son, the daughter. I don't remember the daughter saying a thing in the 3 days that I looked after them. And one night we were driving home, trying to find something to look at, and we saw a chameleon. And many of you would have seen a chameleon with us. And Johnson, who was the tracker, he was fantastic. He shone the light on the chameleon, and he said, in his extremely deep voice, he said, "Chameleon." So I said, "Look, everybody, there's a chameleon." And they said from the back of the car, they said, Mrs. said, what should we call them? We'll call them, I don't know, let's just call them Smith for now. Mrs. Smith said, "Why you stop him?" I said, "Well, because there's a chameleon over there." She said, "Oh my God, is it poisonous?" So I said, No, Judy, it's not poisonous at all. It's a chameleon. It changes colour. It's a really interesting thing. And before I could get any further into my explanation of the astonishing biology of the flat-necked chameleon, Judy said the following: "Oh my God, there's a snake! There's a snake! Drive! Drive! It's coming this way!" I said, "Judy, hold on." And Johnson says to me, "It's a branch." She says, "It's not a branch, it's a snake, it's coming this way, drive!" And she became utterly hysterical. So I did this. We were looking at the chameleon over there. There was the chameleon, and I went like this, because I was now well, slightly irritated. I started the engine, I went like this. At which point the tracker basically fell out of the car because he was laughing so much. And as I slowed down, she says, "Why are you slowing down? They're coming, they're coming." So I eventually stopped, I don't know, some distance down the road. There's some zebras in front of us. They're going to be very frightened by the next bit of the story. So I stopped the car, calmed them down. I said, "Now look, I promise you there was no snake." And the son said, "I also saw the snake, Mom, I saw it." And so I said, "Really?" He said, "The snake I saw was green." And she said, "Oh my God, there were two of them. The snake I saw was gold with black stripes on it." So instead of thinking the obvious, which was, "Oh, then there wasn't a snake," Mum goes, "Oh my God, there were two snakes chasing us down the road. Drive! Drive! Get us home!" And that's my story of the guests. People do that sort of thing, especially if they drop something out of the car. So if you stop next to a lion pride and they take out their cameras, often it's normally a lens cap that will be dropped. And you'll be talking, the lions will be there, you've got your guest set up there, everything's textbook perfect, and you're talking about the lions, and you hear a ta-tung-tung. You look behind you, and there's a guest scrabbling around in the bushes, looking for his lens cap just outside the car. You say, "What are you doing? Get in the car!" And they stand up and look surprised. And thankfully, this chap who I'm talking about was on the right-hand side of the car, and the lions were on the left, and so they didn't kind of react to him. They didn't notice. They were all fast asleep. And people do that kind of ridiculously stupid thing. And the interesting thing is then you have to be quite rude. Now, these are people paying top dollar for your company, for you to guide them. And sometimes you've got to be quite firm. And I remember we had while we look at this impala glorifying in the gorgeous golden light, as the sun begins its inexorable sink towards the west, a German fellow who came on safari, and his camera bag consisted of a number of plastic bags. Now you all know that it is completely impossible. You've all tried to eat potato chips quietly. It's not possible. You've all tried to pull things out of plastic bags quietly, and it simply isn't possible. Anyway, we were at a leopard sighting. There was a leopard in the tree above us, and it wasn't very relaxed. It was quite nervous, and it had sort of climbed up a tree. I'd parked under the tree not knowing where its kill was, and the leopard came towards us and then went up into the tree, and then only did we notice the kill. And I'd parked closer than I would have if I'd known that it had been in the tree. Anyway, this fellow then began to take his camera equipment out of these plastic shopping bags, and the leopard did not enjoy the sound of the crinkling packets, and it started to growl. So I turned round and I said, sorry, Hans, could you just be quiet? And I put my finger to my lips, and the rustling ceased, and then it began again, and the leopard began to go, and I said, Hans, please stop that. But I want to take a picture of the leopard. So I said to him, yes, but the leopard is cross. You can't make a noise. You need to be quiet. Yeah, he says. Silence. Leopard relaxes, begins to eat. And then the inexorable rapping of the rustling of the papers began again. And the leopard stood up and went, oh, like that at us. And Hans went, dropped all his things. And I said, oh, stop it, put it down and don't move again. And he looked at me like this, and he said, but I want to take a picture of the leopard. And I said, well, the leopard doesn't want you to take a picture of her. And we left. Now, this poor fellow, of course, was paying for my company. But you have to be like that sometimes, otherwise people will get themselves into quite a lot of trouble. And, of course, there's nothing lazier in the world than a safari guide, by the way. So we always think that we're tired, and we always think we deserve time off. There's very little in the world that is lazier. So I was being lazy and decided that I was going to have a nice night off, and then suddenly there was a knock on my door, and there was a panicked sort of camp manager there saying, you have to come and drive because there's been a complaint about this ranger and his guests demanding another ranger. And the ranger in question who'd been complained about, I knew to be one of the most professional, one of the most competent, one of the most sensitive, and I just thought this, I mean, he was twice the guide I ever was. So I thought this was a bit odd. Anyway, he was just quite young, so he didn't really know how to handle, I think, these guests. So I went down and I met these people who I was going to take out in the morning. And this chap looked at me. You know, he was a kind of fellow who you immediately dislike on sight, because he looks at you as if you are his servant, which I suppose as a guide you are in some ways, but, you know, by and large, people are quite interested in what you have to say if they've taken the time and trouble to come to a safari lodge. Anyway, this guy looks me up and down once. He says, he was right from the East End of London. He says, is you our new driver? So I said, well, I'm your new guide, yes. He says, right. Well, I came here to see a kill, right? I've seen kills on the TV. I came here to see a kill. I told my guide today, I said, look here, I want to see a kill. The guide says he's going to do his best to find a kill for us, right? Did he find the kill? No, he didn't. So I'll come back here and I say, where's the kill? Why didn't you show us a kill? And he says, well, I think it's totally unacceptable. I come here, I pay all this money, and now I want to see a kill. I bring my girlfriend here. She also wants to see a kill, and we ain't seen a kill. We see nothing here. All we've seen is some elephants, some rhino, a couple of buffalo, and some lions lying on the ground. I want to see a kill. So I looked at this fellow and I said, well, there's some vultures coming off the ground in the bush now for close on 10 years. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 kills in my time. He says, don't give me your stories. I don't care. I want to see a kill. And his girlfriend at this point, who had got more makeup or more paint on her face than a sort of your average house, And she's also got, I think she's probably had the early, Botox wasn't much of the rage back then, but she's had quite a lot of the early form of it. So her face was completely immobile. She was unable to move. And so through these lifts that the good Lord did not give her, she said, "Oh, so want to see a kill. I came here to see a kill. We haven't seen a kill. We need to see a kill." So I thought I understood what she meant. And I said, well, we'll do what we can in the morning. This was after the evening game drive. So off we went in the morning. And it was beastly hot. Beastly hot. We saw one steenbok, one duiker, and that was all in 4.5 hours of game drive. Well, the red-faced, angry, irritated East Ender, I think, left the lodge, if I'm not mistaken, that very day, complaining deeply. And he actually, I think he did pay his bill, but there was one incident with a guest who refused to pay his bill because he had not seen a white rhino. He said, "Your brochure has got a white rhino on the front of it. I came here, I didn't see a white rhino on my safari, so I'm paying my bill. That's false advertising, that is. You can't put that on your brochure and not show people. I'm not paying for nothing." I think he was threatened with legal action and eventually did pay. Those are my guest stories, which could probably, if you get two guides around a fire, you hear these things going on and on and on. And Alex, you want to know how often we get to see predators on the hunt? On the hunt, not uncommonly. Actually killing, very uncommon. We don't see it a lot. It often happens at night. And I often think that our presence at a hunt really does have a negative effect on the animal's ability to hunt, because we make a noise. You start the engine, and an impala will just look up like that, even if they're not particularly alarmed, and they're going to see whatever it is you're following. Right, now